You ready?
Yep.
Me too.
Okay.
God, I'm just always so nervous about these things.
Really?
No.
Oh.
Well, not nervous, but like starting anything is like, all right, once we start.
A journey of 1,000 steps
Yeah,
begins with a single step.
that's right. I think Abraham Lincoln said
I
that.
think that's the wrong quote also. I think it's a journey of 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
Because 1,000 steps
Yeah.
is not that much.
You're not even closing rings for that.
I guess the sentiment is still the same.
Yeah, it works.
A journey of 2 steps starts with one
With
step
a single step, and then one more,
and then another. And then you're there.
and you can rest after your long journey of 2 steps.
2-stepping's hard.
Oh, the old razzle dazzle.
Yeah. Hit him with the...
The old Texas 2-step. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bro
Read
this book podcast. I'm your host, Steve.
And I'm your other host, Matthew Meadows. We talked about how we wanted to wing this song that we sing at the beginning with the bro thing
That was
that
a
we always
terrible
do. And I tried to sing Happy Birthday. And it didn't really, as you can tell, didn't go very well. That gets me thinking, though. I think we might, no. I was going to say we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Bro Read This Book, but I think it's March.
Yeah, well, we've got a ways to go.
Forget I said anything.
Done.
What'd I say?
Hey, everybody, welcome back to... Wait a second. You said something.
Oh.
No, we've got at least 4 or 5 more episodes to go until we hit that
I don't
mark.
know about that. I think it was
We've
like,
got at least 2 episodes to go.
there you go.
Yep.
I think it was like the beginning of March.
Okay,
Like March 1.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
That's really only 2 months away.
No, yeah. I mean,
February, March. We're at the end of January.
that's true.
End-ish. Yeah.
That
very
is really exciting,
Yeah.
actually. Look at us. How's it going, Steven?
You know what, Matthew? It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
I would have to say. I am very busy at work with a project, a big project, and that's pretty much consuming most of my time.
I hear ya.
I'm doing work, and then I've carved out some time to read, but a lot of my reading happens in little breaks from work. Then I spend a few hours with my family in the evening, and that's about it. It's a very like cut and dry
Yeah.
rinse.
That feels
cycle and
very
repeat.
like wintry to me. Like I feel like,
I've had a very wintry winter.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
Especially this last couple weeks where it's been super cold. We
I'm
got
glad
snow.
you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like that's something that you would do in the winter.
Well, you know, you can't really get comfort from the weather. So you find comfort in family and routine, I think is what happens
That's a
in the
good
winter
point.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the winter. It's been cold here though recently.
Very.
Very, very cold.
It's been cold everywhere.
Everywhere.
though, I think.
Yeah.
It was a cold snap all the way around.
Yeah. I feel like though, like I think we've maybe gotten our cold done for the year.
You think?
I don't know. It's always like this though. At the beginning
Yeah.
of February, it gets a little bit warmer.
This may be the only like super cold weather we'll get,
Yeah.
but I would bet money we will get more snow.
Yeah, I love snow, so that sounds good to me, man.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah. I have some news.
What's that, Matthew?
I quit my job.
You what?
Yep, you heard me.
I've never heard of this before.
Yeah.
All right. Now
Yeah,
that we've
I,
gotten through that, why did you do that?
Well, a couple reasons. First things first. Wasn't really. Thank you for putting a lid on that. Wasn't really passionate about it anymore.
Mhm.
And there was kind of a lot of like internal back and forth on
Internal within your soul or within the company?
within my soul.
Okay.
Yeah, as most things that I ponder are.
You're right. That was a stupid question.
No, not a stupid question. There was a lot of internal like struggle of like, is this actually what I want to do? Is it not? Are there things that I would rather be doing? The answer is yes. And so I went ahead and just kind of bit the bullet on that and took a little bit of a leap of faith that things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
And they will be.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Got a lot more time to work on the podcast stuff.
Nice.
A lot of videos coming your way.
Pointing at you.
And so so it's been good, and it's my last day will be a week from when this episode airs.
Very cool.
So I'm very excited. It definitely is a unknown. It's definitely like embracing the unknown, embracing like the discomfort of not having a stable income. And kind of just piecing stuff together, but it'll be good. And I've done it before, and I'll be good. And I've got some trips coming up. So I'm going to London and Portugal next month, and then hopefully I'm going to New Orleans maybe in April.
That's very fun.
Or March, because there's a flight from Louisville to New Orleans for like $120 on Breeze Airways.
That's doable.
Yeah, it is. So looking at going there, just taking some time off from working just in general. I'm calling it like a sabbatical from work.
Very good.
So maybe like 3 months.
Some people call that vacation.
I would have called it vacation if I was going back to something.
Touche.
You know what I mean? Like at the moment, I don't know what is at the other side
Yeah.
of whatever
Yeah.
this 3 months is.
Yep.
You know, so it's like it's like an indefinite sabbatical with an end at some point
Yeah.
in the ether.
Right.
So we'll see what happens, and maybe something will come up where I can not go back to work full time and just do other things and like make money in other ways, support myself, doing stuff I love, and like that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
It's like figuring out a way to make it happen for yourself to where you get to do stuff you love, and like have support from the people around you and have good relationships.
Yeah.
And I've got all those, so we'll see what happens with the other stuff, I guess. But yeah, so that's my big life update.
That's very exciting.
Yeah,
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I'm very excited about it. It's scary, for sure.
Yeah.
but I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. Good.
Sorry, I don't understand.
You did it again.
I know.
Stop listening.
I'm
I think she's gone.
okay.
She left.
That was scary.
We're okay now.
That really derailed my train of thought. In this time of uncertainty, I have had quite a bit of time of reading.
To read?
Yeah. I've read 8 books so far this year.
That's
What?
right. You heard it here first.
Yeah, 8
It's-
books.
It's the bi-weekly check-in.
The bro
The bro.
the bro weekly check-in.
Yes.
We're not going to probably keep that.
You don't think so?
No.
We'll workshop
No.
it. We'll workshop
We'll think about it. The bi-weekly check-in is what we're calling this segment of the show.
Because we actually put out, if you were there for our last episode, we actually put out goals for the number of books that we were going to read.
And we did. We had some other folks. I had talked to some people about their goals. So
Yeah.
if you had reached out about your goals and all that stuff, that we really appreciate that. We love interacting with you guys and hearing what you guys think. So yeah, what were you saying? Sorry, didn't mean to hijack you.
That was the main thing, was to say we want to do this check-in regularly so that you can keep track of us as we go towards our numerical goal of books for the year.
Yeah, and like I said, I've read 8 so far, and that is almost half of the amount of books that I read last year, and that is insane to me.
Did you have 23? Was that last year's tally?
I think last year was just 20.
Was it 20?
Yeah,
Okay.
20. I read like 26 the year before.
Okay.
So I think 20 for last year. But it's insane to me now that I only read 20 books,
Yeah.
and I haven't finished a book since like last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I've read 8 books in the first like 2.5 weeks of January.
Yeah.
And 4 or 5 or 6 maybe of those were audiobooks.
Yeah.
And that's been
that was one of your main
yes, that was a
things going
huge
into
goal
this year.
for the year was to listen to more audiobooks, to read more audiobooks, and I have loved that.
Good.
That's been a really, I mean, dramatic but eye-opening kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's like that I really can enjoy and retain with audiobooks, which is something that I have struggled with in the past. So just finding the time to listen to them and like what works for me, like so driving or working on something, when I can really focus instead of just like going on a walk and listening to an audiobook, because that's hard for me because I'm not really doing anything.
Right.
So I can't really focus. But yeah, so 8 books. I don't really want to talk about which ones they are, except for one of the ones, or the book that I'm going to talk about today was read in this 8-book span.
Nice. It's nice when they're fresh.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't want to really talk too much about any of them because we might talk about them on the show at some point.
Right.
So there's my bro weekly check-in.
Beautiful.
There's my bi-weekly check-in of the books I've read. Steven?
Nice.
I would love to hear your bi-weekly check-in.
I would love to tell you.
Thank you.
And I will tell you, I'm at 10 as of an hour before you showed up to my house. I hit number 10. And number 10 was my first of 2 chonker classics, we're calling them, of the year.
How many pages, before you say what book it was, that or unless we're going to talk about the book another time.
We probably will talk about the book another time, but I don't mind saying what it is.
How many pages was that book?
It was 822 pages. It's almost the length of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Whoa.
Yeah. Mamma mia.
That's crazy.
I don't know why that just reminded me of Mario Kart. So exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's sipping.
Yep. Anyhow, yeah. So the book was the Brothers Karamazov, and we already mentioned it on the last episode.
Oh, yeah.
And so basically, what had happened, I wasn't planning on reading it this soon, or even starting it this soon. I had decided that I wanted to buy a physical copy of it, but then I was also going to listen to the audiobook and read at the same time because it was so long. I wanted to like focus in on it and retain as much as possible. And I can read a lot faster if I do audio and visual at the same time. It's like ultimate power.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like there were sections where I could get through at like 2.5 times speed. Just because I could
Isn't that
follow
the
on
best?
the page. It's wild. It feels like that Bradley Cooper movie, Limitless.
Limitless?
Yeah. It feels kind of like that until you get distracted and you're 2 pages behind.
You're using 100% of your
And
brain
you're
power.
like,
The human brain only uses 10% of its power.
which is not factually accurate, but
I don't know.
cool.
I'm not a scientist.
That's true. I don't science much.
Yeah. At all, really.
Yeah, true. But yeah, so I've gotten through my first of 2 giant classics.
What's the other one?
So the other one's going to be Les Mis, and it's longer than Brothers Karamazov.
God on high.
And they don't sing in the book. Yeah, that's going to make it tough.
That sucks.
But maybe I'll put on like the instrumental version of the musical behind my reading of it.
Okay,
That would be
honestly,
wild.
that's not a bad idea.
It's not at all.
I
Les
fully
Mis
support
lo-fi.
that. Dude, you know it's out there.
It's got to be.
So there's Lord of the Rings lo-fi.
I know.
that
I sent
I
it
know
to
that
you.
you know this. Yeah, I don't even know why I said that. I know that you know that.
It's beautiful.
And
I love it.
It's the best. I used to like make fun of lo-fi music, or like those like lo-fi beats to study to, until I started using them.
Yeah.
And getting so much done.
Yeah.
When I listen to them, I love that stuff.
Dude,
man.
you haven't studied until you've lo-fi studied.
No, yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
The retention is just
That's so much better.
well. Now I almost always have music playing when I'm reading.
Yeah.
Like I have like fantasy music if I'm reading a fantasy, sci-fi if I'm reading sci-fi. It really just like sets the scene for me. So I think that's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
So 10. That's a lot of books. So
we were actually like keeping pace like day by day
Yeah.
for a minute there.
yeah. I kind of fell off a little bit towards the end of last week and in this week, just because I was going through a lot of like mental quit my job and
Yeah, you were doing stuff.
how do I do that? When do I do that? Yeah, so it's I don't know. It's a weird time right now.
Yeah.
But ideally once things kind of even out a little bit, we'll get back maybe
Yeah.
a little bit more neck and neck.
Well, you could. I feel like audiobooks and travel are gonna go so well for you if you decide to do that.
Yeah, man. I didn't even think about that.
Dude, pick some good like countryside
Yeah.
viewing, like European city.
So before we go any further, there will be several days where I will be on my own
Yeah.
in
Perfect.
Yeah. And there's one day in particular that I am going up to Oxford
Ooh.
and I'm doing a self-guided Tolkien tour.
That's cool.
So I'm thinking I might find an audiobook of I don't know, I think there's a Beren and Luthien audiobook.
I hope so. That's the only way I'm gonna get through it.
So something like that and listening to that on the way up there. And that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're exactly right. I didn't even think about that.
That's yes. You should definitely think about that ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna when I get home tonight, I'm gonna make a list.
Nice.
But yeah. Cool, man. I've got an app.
Ba-ba-da-boop-ba-ba. Do you want to talk about books? No.
I want to read an ad,
you
Steven.
should.
We want to take a minute to talk about our sponsor, Tether, a Louisville-based software company whom we love. Our podcast has been using Tether's system here for the last month or so.
Yeah.
And basically, and I have it all written down, so I remembered everything. It's organized our contacts, automated our email and text marketing. It made it way easier to post on social media. They have an awesome planner that we use pretty much daily. Any video you've seen on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook has been posted through Tether for the last month or so. And it does a bunch of other sales stuff for folks who need that.
What a flex.
What?
Here's the thing we're doing. And by the way, every video you've ever seen of us,
It was
we
used,
use that.
yeah. And it's also the price point is super affordable for even like small businesses. But yeah, so it's simple to use and their customer support is awesome. We have our link in the description of the episode and in the description of the episode. I was gonna say something else, but that's the only place it is. And also, I guess it's gonna be in the bio.
and it's in our hearts.
It's in our hearts. Wow. Link in our heart to Tether. It's also in the bio on our link tree link in our bio.
So check out the link in the description and get tethered.
Get tethered. I don't think that's their slogan.
Is that not it? Okay. All right.
Anyway.
Well, if they listen to this podcast and decide that they want to get tethered,
I really don't think that they will.
okay. How funny is that going to be, though?
I think we'll get a text.
I think we'll get a text as well. What if
Or-
we
or
didn't,
an
though,
email.
and we just saw it on like a social media post of theirs?
Hey, man.
You heard it first.
You
Go read this book.
Get tethered.
Get tethered.
Anyway, let's talk about books.
Yes, please. Let's do.
So I have some notes here, so that's why I'm on my cellular device here. The book that I'm going to be talking about today is a book I really enjoyed. It is called A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. First of all, this was an advanced reader copy, so thank you to NetGalley and Random House Publishing, for the copy of the book in exchange for an honest review. I have posted about it on other socials. I want to say one thing. There is some spiciness in this
Okay.
book.
All right.
So if you're not into that, it's not overwhelming and it's really like skippable if that's not something you're into. But just know that it is there. And if that is something you're into,
Are we
yay.
talking like, for the folks at home, are we talking like bell peppers, jalapenos, habaneros, or ghost?
There's some moments in there that are like habanero level. But there's only like 3 scenes
Okay.
that are really even remotely like spicy at all.
A trio of scenes, if you will.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. But so I just wanted to make that disclaimer. So if it's not something you're into, just know that it is there, but you can totally skip it, and it won't affect the story at all. So A Fate Inked in Blood is a Norse-inspired fantasy romance. I love Norse mythology. It's funny, the book I finished before this was Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman. So I was already in the mindset of like, because I kind of know the myth pretty well, and I know just a lot about the Norse culture. So it was really interesting to read a book that was not directly related to that, but inspired by it. And essentially, the way that the book is set up is our main character Freya. She is so cool. She is a child of a god, and she basically has this power to create a shield around her and folks that are around her to protect them. There was this prophecy from many years ago that this specific jarl from this specific town would find her, the shield maiden, and she would make him the king of what?
Of what?
The king of where they live.
Okay. So I thought that you were going to maybe pause after the word Jarl, because maybe we don't all, and by we don't all, I mean me, know what the heck Jarl is.
A jarl is, think like chief
Okay. All right.
or like mayor.
Okay.
So basically like,
That's not the image that word conjured in my head.
okay, what do you think it was?
Like a sort of like a scraggly bard, perhaps a Jarl.
Not that. Let me look up the definition just so I don't make a fool of myself.
Make a Jarl of yourself. That's more the context I was thinking of it in. Because it's kind of a goofy sounding word to me.
Norse or Danish chief.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Have you ever played Skyrim?
Nope. That's
Okay.
probably why I don't know the word.
Well, yeah. So there is like there are jarls of each town in Skyrim. Anyway,
Sorry. I de-jarled that conversation.
it's okay. You can't just take a word and make it something else. I guess you can because you just did.
I just did.
Yeah. Okay. So the book itself is incredibly well written.
Okay.
Danielle L. Jensen is a very, very what's the word? Everything that she writes in this book is on the money. Like
Okay.
there were no moments where I was like, that's not great. It's almost as if it was. I'm sure that it's. I mean, everybody who writes a book puts hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of time into this, but it really did feel like it was written with love and attention, and it shows. So that's a major point for the book for sure.
Have I heard her name before? Because the name sounds really familiar.
I don't know.
Has she written anything else?
Yeah, quite a few things, but
Okay.
not anything that I think that you would have read.
Okay. Maybe I've just like seen her name in passing. as
Yeah.
I've been looking through books.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she writes a lot of like the fantasy romance stuff. But so essentially, our main character Freya, she is taken to Jarl Snorri's.
I swear you're making things up.
I'm not. I promise you. These are real words.
Go ahead.
To their camp or their town, and she meets Bjorn, who
Sorry, I know that's a real word.
yeah,
Yeah.
who is this also a child of a god. He's the child of Tyr.
Okay.
Who has this like he's cool too, for real. He's got this like flaming axe that he can like call down from the skies, and or like not really. It's not like Mjolnir.
Yeah.
But it's he wears it on his back, and then he can like make it catch on fire.
Like Ghost Rider.
Almost exactly like Ghost Rider, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah.
He does not have a motorcycle though, unfortunately. So he's not just like Ghost Rider,
Okay.
but like similar.
Okay.
Can Ghost Rider control when he's on fire?
Yes. For
See,
the most part.
I don't know my
I
Ghost
think.
Rider lore. I thought that he was just in flames at all times.
No, he can control it.
No,
I think.
I don't know.
I
You
don't-
could tell
it's
me
been a
anything,
minute.
and I would believe
It
you.
has been a minute. But maybe he's like an old Ghost Rider. This is going way down a rabbit hole. But you remember how in the Ghost Rider film, you had
No,
Nicolas
almost
Cage
definitely not.
and Sam Elliott. And Sam Elliott was like an old Ghost Rider, and he was a cowboy from the Wild West era, and
Ah.
he rode a horse.
Only his axe catches on fire, though.
Oh.
So not him.
And he doesn't have a horse, I'm guessing?
There are times in the book where he is on a
Okay.
horse.
All right, we're not too far off.
Yeah.
Then.
Well,
Please
so
continue.
it's interesting. So since he's the child of Tyr, the fire normally will burn him, but the Tyr fire on the axe will not burn him.
Right.
So this is it's not a spoiler. It happens in the first like 20 pages of the book. Freya kills her husband
Okay.
because he's a bad person. And just generally a crappy dude. So she kills him with Bjorn's axe. Right. So it burns her hand and she
Okay.
throws it at him, hits him in the back.
Okay.
So it starts off with her doing this like heroic act, and she gets hurt from it, and she's taken it to their village and healed. And then there's a lot of like stuff with the specific being the child of a god and all that stuff. I don't want to say which god, just because it's a little bit of a spoiler.
It's Thor.
It's not.
Okay.
Whatever-
that was worth just throwing out.
Whatever you do, don't believe Steven. He's lying to you.
Somehow I feel more convinced that it is.
It's not. No, it's
Okay.
not. There is
All right.
another child of Thor in the
Okay.
book.
All right.
But it is not Freya.
Half Thor.
Yeah, that's it. You got it. It's not. Yeah, it plays a lot with like there's kind of a forbidden romance kind of deal, and it really is like a will they won't they kind of thing.
And they do 3 times. Oh.
Yes,
Oh.
they do.
3 times.
3 times. Well,
Thrice, as they said in
Well,
Old Norse.
not technically 3 times.
We don't have to get that.
I know. Well, I'm just saying there is like a I don't know. This is taking a turn that I did not expect. We're just gonna pretend like this didn't happen. Some of the scenes that we're talking about are more of a like a tease kind of.
Oh.
Yeah. So they're more of like there's nothing actually happening, but there's like tension
Oh, I see.
and
I see.
like some you know what I mean. So there's really anyway. We're just gonna keep going.
We are 100% the people that you want talking about
We are not.
spicy novels.
We are. Yeah. I don't really know how to talk about it.
The
really.
level of tact that we on the Bro Read This Book podcast have towards these topics is astounding.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, let me try again.
Should you, or should we just keep moving?
I mean, let me start over.
Okay.
Not start over. Let me keep moving.
Take it from the top.
What were we talking about? Okay, it's the forbidden romance thing.
Yeah.
Will they? Won't they? And then there is a killer ending. It is like my jaw was on the floor.
Nice.
Which doesn't normally happen for me because I feel like I can normally see the ending coming a little bit for a lot of this stuff. And I did, but then I thought that it was going a different direction.
Okay.
And then I was back and I was right.
Yeah.
But it was only after they had revealed that I was right that I realized that I was right.
Wow, what a ride!
It
that
was.
doesn't even really sound like twists and turns. That sounds
It
like you
was-
got excited by going straight.
Well, there was one twist that I thought was the twist.
Okay.
Like, but then there was
It was
another twist.
it was a red herring.
Yes.
Nice.
But it's so convincing that I thought that it was the way that I thought it was true.
Right.
But the ending is fantastic. It really is.
I'll come back to that idea. When I talk about mine.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. Sorry.
I
I
got
should.
you.
I could have made that more clear.
I was like, I don't know what you're saying. But yeah, so all in all, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's really well done. If I had anything to say negatively about it, I think that the pacing was a little weird in certain parts. There was a chunk of the book that felt kind of boring, not because it was bad, just because I was wanting the next thing to happen, because they were on their way somewhere and something crazy had just happened. There was this big action scene and then a very like section of nothing, and then I knew there was action forthcoming, and so I wanted to get to that, and so that's the only thing. And I know that there's like some people might like that, and a lot of times I can kind of go either way with it. But this time it did feel a little bit like it was dragging just a wee bit.
Gotcha.
But it really only in one section, and that was the only reason. I ended up giving this 4 stars. And it could have been, I mean, I don't know. It might have gotten up to 5 stars if I thought the pacing was perfect.
Right.
And everything else was the way it was. But just a couple pacing issues. And other than that, I really, really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend it. And I think it comes out on February 27th. So you'll have a lot of time to pre-order and or wait until it comes out and order it then. I really recommend it. I especially recommend it for folks who are fans of fantasy romance, because it definitely is that. Definitely is that.
Nice.
Yeah.
A glowing recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved it.
Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. It sounds interesting. I may check it out at some point.
Yeah.
I
think
would probably, there's a couple others of yours that you've recommended that I would go to before that.
Yeah.
Like Bloody Rose, simply because I've already read Kings of the Wild.
Yeah.
So I will read that one at some point.
Yeah.
The Expanse is on my list for the year.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So like
Yeah,
there's a couple others that are on there.
I think that
But this sounds interesting.
I think that what makes it the standout that it is for me is the Norse element.
That's what's kind of drawn me into.
Because I think that is not necessarily an untapped thing, because a lot of people do it. I just think it's so fascinating, because even Norse myth itself is really interesting. So I think if you can do it really well, like Jensen does in this book, it's like a treasure trove of interesting things and interesting ideas. And the way that the book ends brings up a lot of interesting like mythological points, which is fun. So yeah, I think that if you have any interest in the Norse side of things, you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
Cool.
Yeah. Speaking of books that we have read, we did this before the show. We tallied up the books.
Wait, no, save it to the end.
Steven, what book do you want to talk about?
Oh, good cover. I'm going to talk to you about a little ditty called Never Lie by Frida McFadden.
I have heard of this book before this moment.
Yeah. I think it's fairly popular. I think McFadden is a fairly well-known author at this point.
Yeah.
So this is the first book of hers that I've read. I'll probably read more because this one was quite standout, I thought. But what I've noticed is that they're all pretty close to the same length, and it's a very manageable, I would say probably like 350 to 400 pages. Like just a nice, you're not, going into an epic tome of a novel. And that's one of the first things I'll say about it is the pacing is spectacular. There's no fat on this thing.
Isn't that the best?
Yeah. You just plow right through.
Yeah.
It's all story. It's great. I've got a synopsis that I would like to share with you.
I would love to hear it.
Perfect. Perfect. Never Lie by Frida McFadden is a masterful psychological thriller that weaves a tale of secrets, deception, and the dark underbelly of human nature, set against the backdrop of a snow-trapped mansion in upstate New York. A winter book. The story introduces us to newlyweds, Trisha and Ethan, who stumble upon the eerie, abandoned home of Dr. Adrian Hale, a renowned psychiatrist who vanished mysteriously 3 years prior. As the snowstorm intensifies, Trisha discovers a hidden room in the mansion filled with recorded therapy sessions of Adrian's patients.
Oh my.
Murky? Yes. Illegal? Depends on the state. Driven by curiosity and the unsettling atmosphere of the house, Trisha begins listening to the tapes. Each recording peels back layers of intrigue, drawing her deeper into the enigmatic and troubled histories of Adrian's patients. The narrative skillfully intertwines the present with flashbacks, revealing connections between Trisha, Ethan, and the house that are shrouded in lies. Both characters harbor secrets that slowly unravel, challenging the reader's perception of truth and morality. As Trisha delves into the mysteries of the house and its former owner, she uncovers a web of deceit that threatens to upend her own life. The mansion becomes a character itself. A claustrophobic setting, we've talked about that before,
Yeah.
where the line between past and present blurs, and where every discovery leads to more questions than answers. Never Lie is a novel that keeps you guessing until the very end, with twists that subvert expectations and characters whose motives are as shadowy as the storm outside. McFadden's writing weaves tension and suspense into every page, making this book a gripping read for anyone who loves a story where secrets are the key to unlocking the truth.
I do.
Sign me
I
up,
do.
brother.
I do. I do.
With its fast-paced narrative, Never Lie is a journey through the darker side of the human psyche. A thrilling ride that questions how well we can truly know anyone, including ourselves. That's right. I can vouch for everything in that synopsis because I halfway wrote it.
So the thing that sticks out the most about what you just said was the bit about how it's like therapy recordings.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah. So here's what I like about it because it's not necessarily multiple perspectives. It becomes multiple perspectives later on, which is interesting, but primarily it's from one character's point of view.
Sure.
And so you've got her point of view, but then you've got her stumbling into the therapy session recordings, and they almost become like a story within the story in a sense because you kind of expect that they'll tie into the larger narrative somehow, but you have no perception of how at that point. So it really is like this story within the story, and you're intrigued by what's going on in these sessions, and you know that maybe there's something there of how this woman disappeared, and so you're interested from that sense, but it doesn't connect just yet, and so it's wild. You're almost drawn into like 2 or 3 layers of storytelling in this one, which is really fun.
I have kind of a specific question.
Okay.
When she's listening to the recordings, is she commenting on them as she's listening to them?
No.
Okay, so it's literally just like, here's where she stops,
Yeah.
the recording starts, and then she's back.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Because I was wondering if she's listening to them.
Yeah, you're not getting her thoughts and inner monologue about the recordings while she's listening to them. You will get her thoughts after she's done with it.
What's that noise?
The sink
Cool.
upstairs. The kitchen sink.
Nice.
Yes. Indeed.
Cool. It sounded like static.
Not quite, but almost.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, okay, cool. I was just curious.
Yeah. Which I kind of like because it more sucks you into the session,
Yeah,
I guess.
for sure.
But yeah, so there's some really delightful, like, creepy writing in it too. Nothing like overtly scary necessarily, but there's just some really like awesome creepy elements to it. there's always this tension where our female protagonist thinks that there's someone in the house, always. And so like anything that happens, and some weird stuff happens, but like anything that happens, she's like, there's someone in the house. There's someone in the house. Like she's convinced of it. And so there's like this constant tension of like, oh my God, there's someone here. So when they go in, and it didn't say this in the synopsis, but they're actually like touring the house as like potential buyers. It's for sale.
I kind of assumed.
Yeah. When they go in, there's like a giant painting of Dr. Adrian Hale in her own house. And they like there's this thing. It's in
That's
like
a good sign.
It's in like the first third, so I don't think this is a spoiler. But there's this whole thing where like when they realize they're snowed in and they're not going to be able to leave immediately, they decide to take the painting down because it's weird and it's
That is
looking
weird.
at me. And so they take it down, and then later on, one of them comes downstairs and it's back up. And then and it goes back and forth a couple times in different ways that are really, really fun.
Yeah.
That's just one example, but the way it's written, and that's part of how the house becomes a character in and of itself. The way that painting is almost personified in the first third of the book is incredible.
Cool.
And it's really before Dr. Hale becomes a character in the story. Like as you're listening to her sessions and getting to know her from the past, her introduction as a character is almost the personification of this painting. Right?
That's very cool.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Let's see what else to say about this. Okay, so the writing of it. If you read reviews, what you will inevitably read multiple times is, I thought I knew what was going to happen, and then I was completely wrong.
Interesting.
Over
Nice.
and over again. I've read a ton of reviews at this point, and on Fable, it like recommends reviews based on books you've read. So every once in a while, I'll see another one, and 9 times out of 10, it's I thought I knew exactly where I was going, and then I was completely wrong. And I've got to say, like, the author does such a good job of making you think she might be a bad mystery writer. And what I mean by that
That's
is
fascinating.
she seems to make it so obvious where this thing is headed. And then throws in just this little seed of doubt of like, okay, maybe it's headed in this direction, but it's one of these two options.
Yeah.
And then like just yanks the rug out from under you. And not in a cheap way either.
Yeah.
Like, but you're like, oh, you're good. You're
Yeah.
good at this.
Yeah.
I didn't trust you. And you made me not trust you. And then you were actually really good at what you were trying to do. That was what was really fun. So I was going through 2/3 of it, having a blast, but being like, all right, I know where this is headed.
Yeah.
We'll wrap this thing up, give it a nice 2.5, 3 stars.
Yeah.
Just because it was too predictable, and we'll go from there. And then the rug gets yanked out from under you, and I was just like, oh, no,
Yeah.
I have no idea what's about to happen.
That's
And,
awesome.
Like the last third of the book, I was just along for the ride, and it was so
I think
satisfying.
you've just pushed this up the list a little bit for me.
Yeah,
Because
it's fun,
I love
dude.
that stuff.
It's so fun.
Yeah. I really like that stuff. And I love, you know this about me. You know I love a setting that is like claustrophobic.
Testify.
Yeah. You know I love that. So you've got me. You've hooked me. I'm definitely gonna request that one on Libby.
Love it.
Uh,
Just return my copy.
Speaking of Libby, this is completely unrelated. I need to read. I have a hold for everybody in my family everyone in my family has killed someone.
Yes.
So I need to get on that.
Nice.
And increase your tally.
I'm
of
glad it's
books
these
that
couple that
yeah.
you're increasing the tally with
Yeah.
because they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone in my family has killed someone is fun.
Yeah.
This one is fun because of like the ride it takes you on.
Sure.
It's more like a roller coaster than like an action comedy, I guess. Yeah.
Those are two different things.
Very.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two different thrills. Speaking of the tally, would you like to talk about the tally?
I
now?
would.
We realized in the last couple weeks that we've not been keeping score.
Which
of-
the whole thing about this show at the beginning was we were gonna try to convince each other to read these books and
Yes.
keep a tally.
Yes.
And we just haven't been doing that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start doing it again.
Yeah. We have been reading each other's books somewhat. Not as many as I thought
I know.
we had.
I know. And that was we went through the list and it kind of surprised me. But you gotta remember 4 episodes of that was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And the year in review and know.
The Halloween Spooktacular.
Yeah.
We read the same book.
yeah. So it's like of the episodes that were about specific books, I think we've done a pretty good job of reading each other's recommendations.
Yeah.
The books that you have recommended that I have read are How to Sell a Haunted House, and the other one was the other book,
Failing Up.
Failing Up
Yep.
by Leslie Odom Jr.
I was like nonfiction.
Yeah. I liked Failing Up.
Yeah. You just finished How to
I
Sell a
just
Haunted
finished How to
House,
Sell a Haunted
and you
House.
had some feelings.
And I did not like it very much. I give it a 2.5 star
Okay.
rating,
Right down the middle of the road.
right down the middle of the road. It was not bad,
Yeah.
by any means, but it was not very good.
Not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Or not very good.
This is the line that I am trying to straddle here, because I think that it could be either. It could be that I just didn't like it and it wasn't for me, or it could be that the writing was bad. And I don't know which one it is because I did not like the characters.
Okay.
There was really no meaningful character traits that these people have.
Okay.
And it felt very much like, let me rewind that a little bit, because that's not strictly true, because I really thought that the sibling relationship was interesting.
Yes.
And I think it could have been much more interesting
Definitely.
if it wasn't my brother bad,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think that, and there's a part where they get to this point where they are having this really emotional, heart to heart, and it's like it never happened, afterwards. And that took me out of it.
Yeah.
I was kind of all in on it. I really enjoying it. There's a specific part, and you know what I'm talking about, that I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just that wasn't the focus anymore. It wasn't the
Right.
relationship.
Right.
And it felt like that kind of got lost.
Gotcha.
And that could have been, I think, way more. And there's something, and we'll talk about this afterwards, but there's something that happens that made me so mad about it. And it made me so upset.
Yeah.
So it was okay. I don't want to sound like I hated it, because I didn't.
Yeah.
I just think it could have been significantly better than it was.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was it was okay. Yeah.
And for context, what I had said, because we texted back and forth about it briefly, what I had said was, if I read it now, I probably wouldn't be as high on it as I was then, because I've read a lot more of that type of book,
Yeah.
fiction, fun,
Yeah.
thriller type thing. I would probably be a little less kind to it.
Yeah.
But it was very much new territory for me.
Oh
at the
yeah,
time.
yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, "Whoa, this is cool," and I'm super
Yeah.
into it. I would
Yeah.
probably still enjoy it. There's
Enjoy
just
it.
some moments that are so fun
Yeah.
and so crazy.
And it's a bummer. It's a bummer that there are parts of it that are so good, and also parts of it that just kind of are, for lack of a better word, really boring.
I feel like, and this is just based on my recollection of it at this point. It's been basically a year since I've read it. I feel like the author had a few really standout ideas
Mhm.
for scenes that he wanted,
Yes.
and then he connected them with like stock cookie cutter but paint by numbers plot lines.
Yeah.
And so you have these moments that are like, this is original and incredible and amazing and like burned in my memory.
Yeah.
But it's connected by very run of the mill characters and plot threads.
Yeah. I'll tell you though, the narrator for the audiobook version is awesome.
Very good.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
So big plus there.
Yeah.
You've read 2 books that I've recommended to you. What are they?
That's right. So one was Kings of the Wild, and we did a whole episode on that, of you recommending it and me talking about it after reading it. That was one, and then like you, I'm struggling with the second
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits, which was a like 3 years ago now recommendation, but we're still counting it.
Because you read it.
It was because you recommended it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll think about that one. That might be a technicality, and we might have to rescind that. But still,
Yeah.
we're gonna go with it's 2-2.
There you go. Which I was surprised by. I thought you would actually be like super ahead. I don't know why I had this thought in my mind of,
Yeah.
oh, I've read so many of your books. I think I plan on reading a lot of them. So
Well, the problem is all of my books are series. Like a lot of the books that
Yeah.
I talked about are series.
Yeah.
A lot of yours are standalones.
Mhm.
And so
mine are easier to
yeah.
just chip away
Yeah,
at.
and that's part of the part of the not issue, but like part of the
Yeah. That'd be like
Yeah.
if I came in and was like, all right, so I read the second Game of Thrones book, and I'm going to talk about that.
yeah.
You're going to need to read the first one because there's a lot of continuing
Yeah.
plot lines.
There's
but
also a
you
lot of
gotta
books.
Read the second one.
Yeah, there's also a lot of books in Game
Yeah.
of Thrones, so it's
Yeah.
like it's a big commitment, like The Expanse. It's like
Yes.
there's 9 books plus some novellas, and
Mhm.
you know, it's like I don't expect you to go and like read the whole series
Yeah.
and then come back to me.
You understand that I have to be prepared,
Yeah.
like on a spiritual level.
But the moment that you pick up that book, dude, we are texting 24/7. Like
yeah, because we don't already.
yeah, right. Just be prepared. Like I've got a buddy of mine, he's reading it right now, and he'll like text me when something happens. I'm like, dude, I know. Like, isn't that crazy? Is that not the most insane thing you've ever seen?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was, it's kind of a, you know, I talk about it every day. I think now to people.
I believe that.
Like, yeah, it's my current hyperfixation is The Expanse. The show's good too. I'm telling you, the show's
Nice.
good. Yeah, I'm on season
good.
4 with me dad. We're watching it.
Cool.
It's very, very well done.
Good.
Very, very good.
That's nice that it's not like a huge disappointment.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've also got a new book coming out, the authors, not in part of The Expanse. But,
Oh, okay.
oh yeah.
It's like, let it die, guys.
It's a different space book.
Okay. Different space
Can't wait.
entirely. Trading
Can't
spaces.
wait. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not called that. It's called The Mercy of the Gods.
Ah.
I can't wait.
You'll have to.
Why'd you say that? I'm just
Nah,
kidding. Just kidding. Why'd you remind me?
Sorry.
It's okay. I think that
that was the cat.
there's a lot of sounds going on tonight.
Yeah.
I think that wraps it up.
I think it does. Do you want to talk about your links a little bit?
We got some
Just
links.
really
Yeah.
fast.
Some of the books that we've recommended on the show
Mhm.
and that I've recommended personally on other platforms are going to be in the. Let me start over.
Yeah, try that again.
Both of the books that we've recommended tonight on the show are going to be linked in the description of the episode. And if you go to those links, you purchase from those links, I will get a kickback from bookshop.org. Bookshop.org is awesome. They are very generous with their commission program, their affiliate program, as well as they send a lot of the money that they make from the books to local bookstores, indie bookstores of your choosing. So you can choose an indie bookstore to support and also support me, support the show. That would be awesome. We also have a link to buy me a coffee if you want to support the show directly. it just is like $5 a month or like a one-time donation of a couple bucks, and that would go right back into the show and kind of the marketing. Stuff.
We have an aesthetic vision for the show that we had right before we started recording this, and it's
And let me
amazing.
tell you, it's honestly awesome.
And if you're still listening at this point in the show, brava.
Yeah.
First of all, or brova.
Bro. Yeah.
Oh man, but also,
Thank you.
thank
also.
you. Yeah, your coffee buying would be going to that aesthetic choice, and so if you're enough of a diehard fan of the Bro Read This Book podcast,
Video version specifically.
video specifically, although it would be in the TikToks and Reels and all that
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff. Maybe consider hitting that Buy Me a Coffee link because it will go directly into that.
And let me tell
purchase.
you don't even know.
Hysterical.
It's hysterical.
It's gonna be and epic and hysterical.
Yeah. At least we think so.
Yeah.
We can't tell you what it is because it'll ruin the surprise.
Yes.
We'll do a whole thing when it happens. But if you feel so inclined to support us in that way, it would go directly to this aesthetic choice
Yeah.
that we have decided to make.
When we say that your donation will go right back into the show, you will be able to physically see
Yes.
how your donation goes back into the show.
If 2 people send us $5, we've got it.
The bar is so low. I almost feel worse now that you've actually said the level that is needed to make this happen.
We're gonna get it anyway, but if you want to, if you want to help us out, that'd be awesome. Steven, can we bring this home?
I would love to bring it home. And I would love to bring it home by saying that the most valuable thing you have is your time, and you spent a lot of it hanging out with us, hearing about books and wacky aesthetic choices.
So sorry.
And listening to our show. So thank you for that. We are honored by your time, and we hope that we honored your time. So thank you. And I think we should just say that this
is podcasting. We gotta end it. We gotta cut it.
Yeah.